What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to T2B Ravens Media for potentially the final, hopefully not, pregame show of the year. And just a couple of really quick things. Obviously, we'll be going live right after the end of the Ravens-Steelers game. And if the Ravens win and the Jacksonville Jaguars, if you guys can tell, rocking the jersey for the Jags. We will also try and go live for Sunday Night Football if Sunday Night Football actually would have an impact on the Ravens making the playoffs. If the Ravens lose or the Colts win, won't go live. But in this, obviously we're going to be previewing, the Ravens season, and we are very excited. But, it's going to be really tough. So how are they going to do it? And I see Team Ramey. How you doing, man? We are just very excited to see what happens in this game because it's gonna be intense because both the Ravens and the Steelers still have a chance at making the playoffs. Even though it's a slim chance, there's a chance that they're going to be putting everything that they have into it. And it's Big Ben's final game, so that's going to be, and it could potentially also be Jimmy Smith's final game. So there's a lot, and potentially Calais Campbell's final game. So there's a lot of emotions that are going to be wrapped up in this game, and it's going to be exciting to watch. Even though Lamar Jackson isn't playing, I still expect a great fight out of both teams. But Joshua, what's the biggest thing that you're looking forward to in this game?
The biggest thing I'm looking for is for Tyler Huntley to have a, Lamar Jackson got to go to the bathroom type of game, because this is going to be a hard fought game. This is Ravens versus Steelers. This is a rivalry week. Big Ben's last ride of redemption. He's the Mr. Comeback fourth quarter this past couple of weeks. We talked about that previously. And also, Terrell Suggs is in the house. Like you already mentioned, this could be Jimmy Smith's last game. This could be Calais Campbell's last game. It's so many intricate pieces that's going on. Heck, even the general manager after this following draft for the Steelers is, leaving. So it's so many different things that ties up in this last game. So I'm just looking forward. I'm looking forward to see how Tyler Huntley plays, how this team's resolve, how we continue to fight, and who's really going to step up to make those game. Hey, Lance, I definitely feel that one. Definitely feel that one for sure. But I just want to see who can make those game changer plays, who can really set the tide and get things going. So I'm definitely looking forward to this game. And also, is TJ Watt going to get that sack?
I think he needs a sack and a half,
right,
to pass Michael Strahan. And I guarantee there will not be any Brett Favre shenanigans that go on to give him the record. If you guys didn't know, when Michael Strahan set the record, it's controversial whether or not Brett Favre intentionally gave him the sack, because Brett Favre literally just dropped to the ground. Probably could have thrown it away, probably could have avoided the sack, may have been sacked, but dropped to the ground to allow Michael Strahan to get the sack. There's no way Tyler Huntley is just giving the sack record to TJ Watt. No way. And Team Ramey says that Big Ben will have 50-plus passes today. A Kobe Bryant-esque final game, I guess, is the prediction.
Deontay Johnson is coming back, so, anything can happen. Anything can happen.
Yeah. Ravens obviously missing a lot of pieces in terms of wide receivers and stuff like that. And Team Ramey says, I don't care if Alejandro Villanueva gets 10 holding calls today. I would not be upset if the Ravens ran the football every single play of the game.
Hey, time of possession, got to make touchdowns though. That's the thing. Got to make touchdowns. No, and even if you go for the 2-point conversion, you got to still run the ball. I don't care at this point. everything that's in the vaults needs to come out today. From the time that ball is kicked off to the fat lady sings at the end of the game. So I need to see any and everything being shown today.
Yeah, and it's just so interesting to see how I think it was definitely planned by the NFL because Big Ben has been. I've thought he was going to retire each of the last 3 seasons because of comments that he's made, and the Steelers just keep going to him and like begging him to play. One more, we'll get you there. We'll get that Super Bowl. You'll be able to, sail off into the sunset. And it just keeps not happening. And they just realized, hey, this is probably Big Ben's final ride. Let's make it against his biggest rival. The best games he's ever had were against, the Ravens in terms of like not his best performances, but the best games that he's been a part of has been against the Ravens. So many countless games that have come down to the wire. And hopefully this one does as well. Honestly, like I would take a close game in this situation over a blowout Ravens win, whether or not the Ravens win the close game or not, just because I want to see that. I want to see
it's only fair. It's only
Big
fair.
Ben, with a chance. And I want to see, Jimmy Smith getting that pick six to seal it up. And speaking of the vault, I really hope there are no rollout, bootleg to the right, 2-route passing plays called, because I don't know if it's ever worked for the Ravens. It comes out like every 2-point conversion, 4th and 1, 3rd and 1 situation that the Ravens have. They call it all the time, and it does not ever work.
The bootleg to the right will work today, and Mark Andrews is going to get 140 yards out the bootleg to the right. I said it.
Okay.
He's gonna get his 140 out of the bootleg to the right, and Hollywood's gonna finally get his deep pass that he's been getting missed on for the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, and another thing is, once again, James Prochet is out.
At this point, he's becoming trade value. He's becoming trade value for me. Like I love JP too. Like don't get me wrong, guys, but for him to get an actual chance and for an actual team to really play, I think it's best. I think it's best to trade him. Maybe you put him in the package deal with Snoop. I don't know, because this is unfair to him, in my opinion.
Yeah, what's annoying is the last game that he played, it's not like he was poor. And also somebody asked how many yards until Hollywood gets 1,000. I think it's 19 yards. So he should be able to get it. So yeah, Eric, I do think he'll get it. But looking at Prochet, the last game he played, he was a monster.
7 receptions and 76 yards.
Yeah. And a lot of third down crucial catches that he was able to make. And so I don't understand why the Ravens just aren't activating him. Maybe it's because he doesn't really play special teams. And they like what Tylan Wallace brings in that side. But like, Miles Boykin isn't adding to the special teams. I'm saying it. I don't know why he's not playing. I think that's really surprising. But, another thing to look at is this is the last game of the year for Sammy Watkins. Sammy Watkins this year, in terms of on-the-field play, I think has been disappointing. I do think it was still a good signing. I still like it. I think he's helped out Bateman and he's helped out Hollywood. I think that's, invaluable. But in terms of his on-the-field performance, I feel like he's yet to really do very much. I mean, he's got 1 touchdown on the year, 27 receptions.
Mm-hmm.
Not even 400 yards. Bateman has more yards than him. Obviously, Hollywood has the most yards, but I don't know. It's just hasn't been what I think we were hoping for. Whereas I feel like Devin Duvernay, when he's been on the field, has actually been a little bit more of a key contributor on the offense. And Team Ramey says Sammy better contribute today. Sammy could be a big piece in this game. Like, could this be the game where Sammy Watkins shows, hey, he can still play in the NFL? Because, obviously he's on a 1-year deal. Do the Ravens want to maybe move on from him, which I'm expecting them to do. Do other teams want Sammy Watkins? He's going to have to show them, like, hey, no, I'm still good. Because when he was in Kansas City, it didn't matter that he wasn't getting, a ton of yards and touchdowns because, they have Kelsey, they have Tyreek Hill, they have Mecole. He was wide receiver 3, and the offense was just very potent. This year, it's like the Ravens aren't throwing for a lot of touchdowns, and Sammy Watkins isn't doing a whole lot. What do you think about how he plays today, Joshua?
Honestly, I feel like it's going to be the same thing. I don't feel like he's going to get in the game a lot. I don't think he's going to be doing as much. I mean, yeah, I know sometimes people can come alive, but this has been this has been the same story and narrative for the whole season. Either he's hurt or if he's out there on the field, he's he's not playing with confidence. So if I wouldn't be upset if he's not playing. I wouldn't be upset if he's not productive. I feel like we need to continue letting Rashad Bateman rise, let his stock rise, let him continue to get that play time and those reps in, because at the end of the day, Rashad Bateman and Hollywood are the future of the Ravens wide receiver of the Ravens wide receiver core. And we also got to put in perspective. I mean, you said it best. He's been like the third option in Kansas City. So now to put him in a transitional role of being almost, first option main target, that can be a lot to someone's psyche as well. Because, you was on a team where you had so many weapons and you was less dependent on. Now you just went to a team where you had to be more dependent and you had to produce more. You had to produce more, and you haven't lived up to the hype. So right now, I'm not expecting a lot out of Sammy Watkins. Like I said, his best productivity is sitting on the bench and rooting his guys on at this point.
And if you guys didn't know, it's raining pretty hard currently, and it's expected to rain throughout the game. I think that's an advantage for the Ravens because their run defense is what they need to rely on. And obviously in the hard rain, it's more difficult to throw the ball. It's more difficult to catch the ball. So hopefully it allows for the Steelers or it forces the Steelers into more running situations. And I love Najee Harris. I think he's an absolute monster running back. I legitimately think he's one of the best running backs in the NFL already. But the Ravens defense is their run defense. Their pass defense after all these injuries is non-existent. So hopefully it's a Steelers trying to run the ball type of game because of the rain. And I think that really helps the Ravens. Now, the Ravens are going to need to run the ball. It's going to be difficult, but, they have Tyler Huntley. And I see Team Ramey said Devontae Freeman will have his best game of the year. I hope so. You guys remember when Robert Griffin III took on the Pittsburgh Steelers in the final game of the 2019 season, the Ravens killed the Steelers off of running veer. So it's basically like I don't know how to explain it, a reverse read option where the quarterback is running up the middle and the running back is running outside from a typical, just standard read option play. It killed the Steelers. I mean, that's what RG3 ran all day long. I wonder if the Ravens are going to run that a lot with Tyler Huntley, because I think that they could try and do that because it was effective against the Steelers in that game, and RG3 played really well doing that. So that's something I think we could see a lot of today.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely can see this today's game going back to the old school ground and pound. Gotta make those tackles today. Unfortunately, we won't be missing Odafe today, but those edge rushers got to get up the field. Those edge rushers had to get up the field. So and if they get up the field, you got to make sure you bring Big Ben down. Big Ben still has a lot of fighting in him. Big Ben still is a competitor. He's not gonna go down easy. So the whole team gang tackle. Y'all remember the days playing Pop One football or even high school. Everyone to the ball. Y'all know the drill. So I had on that man, everybody. I wish they would have wore all black, but hey, the black and white, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, and I mean, I really don't want to see another Big Ben broken sack big play. He's done it enough in his career. Let's have this, not have any anymore, because it's kind of annoying to play against. I mean, he's made a career out of breaking out of sacks. So, and that's been the Ravens' issue all year long. One of the biggest things has been finishing tackles,
Yep.
finishing sacks. They hit guys a lot, but then all of a sudden they just bounce off. Whether it's a great player bouncing off, or it's like kind of not a very good football player, and you're like, why are you not tackling this guy? It should be kind of easy to tackle him. But we'll be able to see how the Ravens do on that side of the ball. I think they're going to do all right, because I think it's just going to be such a hard fought and physical game that we could see. I mean, how ugly do you think it's going to get in terms of physicality? I think it's going to get really ugly. I think there's going to be some questionable hits. I think there's probably going to be a fight or something like that. Maybe no punches thrown or anything like that, but definitely some scrums. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on today that I'm expecting. So
I mean,
I'm excited.
this is rivalry week. This is Ravens versus Steelers. This Big Ben's last ride. Like I said, Terrell Suggs is in the building. I feel like they're going to let this game. I feel like they're going to let a lot of things rock. In regards to the tenacity, in the regards of laying the big hit, stuff like that. We're gonna hit some hits today, in my opinion. PQ, he's gonna be flying. Devin Bush, he's gonna be flying around the field, especially after what his own coach said about PQ. And I don't think Devin Bush is gonna take that lightly. I know Devin Bush, he respects his coach, he respects other guys out there, but Devin Bush, I know he comes up with the type of guy like, hey, I give anybody respect, but bro, not better than me. Bro's not better than me. And you know what? Ever since I saw him, I forgot which game it was. He was scraping at the end zone with his cleats back in college when it was Ohio State and Michigan, back then, and he's always had that nastiness about him. Not a Vontae Burfict nastiness, but his own nastiness. He came out and played. He plays smart, but he also gonna make you feel it as well. And also, I said about that Devin Bush, Minka Fitzpatrick, it almost reminds you of that. I forgot that middle linebacker, but it reminds you of Troy Polamalu, Larry Foote, Jerome Harrison Day, stuff like that. So I definitely feel like this game is going to be very, very a hard fought game. Like I said, it's going to come down to the trenches. That ball is going to be ran. They don't go at Villanueva. I'm pretty sure T.J. Watt is going to line up on Villanueva a lot to try to get that sack and a half. And Villanueva is going to have to play. He's going to do what he got to do. Hold them. You want to hold them all up. Oh yeah, Timmons was a linebacker. I don't know if he played the middle though. But yeah, it's gonna be an interesting game. I'm looking forward to it. Win, lose, or draw. I know you guys that's been on the coming on the stream. Y'all been hearing me saying about Tank, like Tyler Huntley start, all that. But at the end of the day, it's rivalry week. I would love for Tyler Huntley to have a great game to rise to start. I would love for us to go ahead and get the win, even if that hurts our draft position. But hey, anything can happen. Anything literally can happen.
Yeah, and really quickly, I want to go over the situations for the Ravens to get different draft picks, because obviously the Ravens are sitting right now at the 16th pick in the draft. So I'm going to kind of attempt to go over what I believe needs to happen for them to get different picks. The highest that the Ravens can get is pick number 14. That is the best that they can get. They would have to go past Miami and New Orleans. So if the Ravens lose and Miami wins and the Saints win, I believe the Ravens will get the 14th pick in the draft. So, the Ravens should root for the Patriots against the Dolphins. And then they should also root for the Falcons against the Saints, because that will help the Ravens in the draft if they were to lose. If the Ravens win, they will obviously jump Pittsburgh in the draft. However, they will want all of these other teams to win. Like, they'll want probably the Chargers to win, because the Ravens don't want the Chargers to lose, because if they do lose, the Ravens will jump them in the standings. So that's like about it if they win, because the Ravens and Steelers are right next to each other in the draft order. Just root for the Patriots, root for the Falcons, so that if the Ravens are to lose, they can get a better draft pick. And then those teams, whether or not they win or lose doesn't affect the Ravens if they win. So root for the other games. But in terms of this game, Joshua, if you're looking at it for the Ravens, what does a win look like for them? Like, how does the game go? Like, is it high scoring, low scoring, running the football a lot? Like, what are they doing if they're winning this game?
Well, I don't feel like they're going to limit. I don't feel like they're going to limit Tyler today. I feel like they're going to let him keep on doing what he's been doing. He's been in there. He's been in the facility for a long time. So they're not going to stop running the offense for him the way they for him today. I feel like it is going to be run heavy. I feel like it is going to be close scoring game. That time of possession, I feel like it's going to really be ate up today. It's going to be passing, but not as much. I don't know how they feel about him throwing in the rain. I don't think he's played a game in the rain. His career so far.
Yeah, I can't remember a game. Well, I guess you could say it wasn't rain, but heavy winds in the Bills playoff game, I think, is the worst conditions that he's played in.
Okay. I mean, excuse me. Outside of that, yeah, I feel like they're going to be very conservative. You know what, Lance? David Kelly's being evaluated, and Vic Fangio just got fired. So anything is possible. Anything is possible. I know a lot of us are hoping, Giro. This is maybe Giro's last game, but I mean, also we got to put in account that we got to listen to those end of the season pressers and see how that goes.
Yeah. I think if the Ravens are going to win this game, it's obviously going to have to be by limiting possessions. They have to look at what they did against the Rams, and they executed their game plan very well. Unfortunately, the Rams were just a better team, and they kept the ball out of Matthew Stafford's hands. Got to keep the ball out of Big Ben's hands. Big Ben's not as good as Matthew Stafford at this point in his career, but because of the Ravens' terrible secondary and the weapons that the Steelers have, could be just as effective in this game. So you got to make sure that the explosive weapons in Pittsburgh, like Najee and Deontay and Chase Claypool, aren't able to get going. And you got to make a couple of plays. Obviously it was Chuck Clark last week. Chuck Clark went out there and got a couple of interceptions, obviously one being the pick six. And that was huge. I mean, that was the difference in the game. The Ravens allowed the Rams to get a lot of yards. They were moving the ball well. The Ravens were just making a couple of big plays with the interceptions and then the Tyus Bowser forced fumble. That's what you need to do against the Steelers. They're going to get yards. It's the bend, don't break defense. All right? Force them into field goals. Don't allow touchdowns. And then the Ravens need to score touchdowns.
Yeah.
It's an absolute must. Absolute must. And I know a lot of people are going to be upset with me when I say this, but fourth down in the red zone, go for it, right? If it's 4th and 10, don't go for it. 4th and short situations, go for it, okay? You're not going to win this game 9-7. I know I would love an old school Ravens Steelers game. I still expect an old school Ravens Steelers game, maybe like a 17 to 12 game or 17 to 13 could be the final score. Still old school, not as old school because offenses are just so explosive now, but you have to score touchdowns. You can't go out there kicking field goals because we saw what that did last week. They went out there, they kicked field goals against the Rams, and it didn't work.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely would have been different. It definitely would have been different. What is this? 2022? Maybe about 6, 7 years ago. But as each year, we talked about it yesterday. The athlete just gets better. The athlete continue to get more freakish every year. So, I mean, with that being said, um, once they get on the field, defenses are getting better. You got linebackers running for sideline to sideline. You got defensive ends going stride for stride with running backs. You got wide receivers going off for 250 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, these are some surreal numbers. And then on top of that, you add another game to this already long season. So anything can happen. Records are being broken and records are being made. So yeah, I definitely feel like a 2017 type of game is on the way, but touchdowns had to be made. I know we all agree with. I know we all are get upset about the going for it on fourth and everything. I'd rather for us to go for it on fourth and inches or fourth and goal versus us getting a touchdown and not and going trying to get a 2 point conversion. I don't want us to be in that same situation. I'd rather for us to go and get the touchdown, go get the regular field goal, and go ahead and let our defense work out. I feel like defense today is going to probably build off of last week's momentum and try to capitalize on that energy and try to have a good game. I mean, heck, Tony Jefferson has been activated on a 53 man roster, so expect him to get down and dirty. He's going to be out there. I love the energy that he brings. Honestly, if he was to move away from Chuck Clark, I wouldn't mind bringing him back full time. I know, everybody was controversy about, oh well, Chuck Clark is got the IQ and everything like that. But when you look at it, Tony Jefferson was more of a playmaker. We just gotta be real about it. Yeah, he's not even he hasn't hit 30 yet. That's the good thing about it. So you can still get maybe 2 more years out of him and possibly draft a strong safety in the next 2 years. You never know.
Yeah, I'm very happy that Tony Jefferson is going to be playing. I'm a big fan of him, and it's I think you said it right. He's been a playmaker. He's made some big tackles. I don't think I can recognize a player where it's just been like, oh my gosh, Tony Jefferson. Obviously he's not as good as he once was, but he still has the mind of the player that he's always been, and that allows him to be a really solid box safety for this team. And the Ravens need help with tackling and making plays in open space, and he can do that. That's what he can do.
Mm-hmm.
And really quickly want to say, how you doing, Brandon Tillman? But also kind of spontaneous. But guys, if the Ravens do make the playoffs, I think we should definitely be giving away a jersey in the Sunday night stream post Raiders Chargers game if that happens. So guys, if the Ravens do make the playoffs, make sure to come back, figure out how to give it away. And there, obviously it's unlikely, but if it happens, we'll send it out and all that stuff. But Chris Reed says, hey, Big Ben's last ride, got to respect him for an 18-year career. Want the win, but respect to Ben. Mans was most of my childhood, all those rivalry games, the gritty football, but let's get this stuff. Absolutely. I mean, Big Ben is the last of this rivalry, right? Ray Lewis retired, James Harrison retired, Ed Reed retired, Jerome Bettis retired. Obviously, Flacco's not in Baltimore anymore. This is it. There's no Hines Ward or Heath Miller or Dennis Pitta or Todd Heap or Troy Polamalu or Ike Taylor or There's a lot of guys. Antonio Holmes, Mike Wallace played for both teams in this rivalry.
Definitely say Antonio Holmes. Jeez.
Rashad Mendenhall. Jamal Lewis, if you want to go back that far, but it's been a long ride, and obviously the rivalry is still going to continue, but it's sad to see the true end of the era is this game right here, to what I firmly believe is the best rivalry in history. Now I think the only rival that I will say can counter it was Patriots Colts when they were in the same division, and it was Brady versus Manning. But that was only a couple of years. Like Brady Manning was a great rivalry, but then they weren't in the same division anymore. And it was like, okay, yeah, they still play each other every year because they always won their division. But they don't get to play each other twice a year. Now they kind of did because they play each other in the playoffs every time. But Ravens Steelers, I feel like, is the most physical rivalry in football. And, it's still going to be great. I still think it'll be one of the best rivalries in the NFL, but it's tough. It's tough seeing it end because that's what we grew up on. That's what made us love football, was watching those games, those hard hits, those punches thrown, those game-winning touchdowns of Torrey Smith in the end zone, which, funny enough, I didn't watch that game. I was forced to go to bed. I listened to that game on the radio. I listened to the final 5 minutes of the game on the radio. So the first time I ever saw that drive was like a couple years ago. And I remembered it so differently because I didn't see any of it. It was just radio calls. And I was like, wow, Torrey Smith scored on that side of the field. I always thought it was the other side that he scored on and all this stuff. But no, a lot of fond memories for me watching these games. I remember the Thanksgiving game. That was a fantastic game. Mike Tomlin jumping on the field. So it's sad, but Joshua, you want to get into the bold predictions?
Only bold prediction I have: we rush for over 200 yards. 200 yards, possibly get those 3 touchdowns.
Okay, and my bold prediction is that we send Big Ben off like only the Ravens could, okay? No matter, this is the perfect team for Big Ben to play his final game against, because no team can send him away like his biggest rival. Yeah, other teams could beat him, but it wouldn't hurt as much as if the Ravens beat him and truly knock out the playoff chances from them. So I think, Big Ben's last play is either a sack or an interception or just a disappointment. And the Ravens will be celebrating, and it'll be fantastic. That's my prediction. Got to send them off in style.
I love it. Can't go wrong with that.
Yeah. And then, do you want to give any predictions for the other games?
No, not right now. Let me get through this game first, and then I'll go from there.
We hoping for the Marvin Jones, Tyler Boyd catch, former Bengal Marvin Jones. Could be a lot of fun. But yeah, obviously, guys, I'm repping the Jacksonville jersey. No, the player I'm repping is no longer on the roster, Gardner Minshew. But should be a lot of fun, guys. Make sure to keep up with us on Twitter. We're going to be, talking about it all the time. But, hopefully also no sacks. No sacks for TJ Watt. That's what we need. But thank you, everybody, for coming to the stream. We will be going live after the game. Very excited for this one. Even if the Ravens lose, even if the Colts win, all that type of stuff. It's just going to be an exciting one to watch Big Ben's final game. As a Ravens fan, I despise Big Ben, but I also really respect him and I love watching him play. So, should be a fun one. Thank you, everybody. We'll see all of you after the game.